The name that shook Europe. In the late 18th century, when Europe was ruled by kings, emperors, and ancient bloodlines, one man without royal heritage would rise from obscurity and crown himself emperor. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. To some, he was a military genius. To others, a tyrant drunk on power. But to history, he was a force that reshaped Europe forever. This is the story of ambition without limits, brilliance without restraint, and power that burned too bright. The boy from Corsica. Napoleon was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, shortly after France had taken control of it. He was not born into wealth or high nobility. His family had minor Italian roots and modest status, but young Napoleon had something more dangerous than privilege. He had hunger. At just 9 years old, he was sent to mainland France to attend military school. There, he was mocked for his Corsican accent. He was isolated, quiet, often alone. But in that silence, he studied. He devoured books on history, warfare, and philosophy. He admired generals like Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. He did not just want to serve in the army, he wanted to command it. Revolution opens the door. In 1789, France exploded into chaos. The French Revolution toppled the monarchy of Louis XVI and sent shockwaves across Europe. The old system collapsed, nobles fled, officers were executed, and suddenly opportunity appeared. Napoleon, a young artillery officer, proved himself during the siege of Toulon. His tactical brilliance helped defeat royalist forces. At just 24 years old, he was promoted to general. The revolution had destroyed the old guard and made room for him. The Italian campaign. In 1796, Napoleon was given command of the French army in Italy. Many believed it was a minor assignment. They were wrong. With speed, surprise, and bold maneuvers, Napoleon defeated Austrian forces again and again. His soldiers adored him. He marched with them, spoke to them, inspired them. He turned a starving, poorly equipped army into a machine of victory. Europe began to whisper his name. Napoleon was no longer just a general, he was becoming a legend. Power seized. France was unstable. Political corruption weakened the revolutionary government known as the Directory. Napoleon saw weakness. In 1799, he staged a coup d'etat, overthrowing the government and installing himself as first consort. He promised order, stability, strength. The people, exhausted by chaos, accepted him. Then in 1804, inside the Grand Cathedral of Notre Dame Cathedral, Napoleon did something shocking. He crowned himself Emperor of the French. Not the Pope, not a king, himself. The message was clear. His power came from no one but himself. The empire expands. As emperor, Napoleon reformed France. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, establishing laws based on merit, property rights, and equality before the law. He modernized education, strengthened the economy, centralized government power, but he also wanted dominance beyond France. Battle after battle, he defeated Europe's greatest powers, Austria, Prussia, and Russia. At the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805, often called his greatest victory, Napoleon crushed Russian and Austrian forces with masterful strategy. Europe trembled. At his height, Napoleon's empire controlled most of continental Europe. It seemed unstoppable. The cracks began, but ambition has a cost. Napoleon imposed the continental system, an economic blockade designed to cripple Britain. It hurt Europe more than Britain. The sentiment grew. In Spain, guerrilla warfare joined French forces in what became known as the Peninsular War. Then came the fatal decision. In 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia. Over 600,000 soldiers marched east. Russia did not meet him in decisive battle. Instead, they retreated, burning cities and supplies behind them. When Napoleon reached Moscow, it was empty and soon in flames. Winter came, cold, starvation, disease. By the time the army retreated, fewer than 100,000 survived. It was a catastrophe. The legend had begun to bleed. Exile. Europe united against him. In 1814, Allied forces captured Paris. Napoleon abdicated the throne and was exiled to the island of Elba. For most men, that would have been the end, but not Napoleon. The 100 Days. In 1815, Napoleon escaped Elba. He returned to France, and as he marched toward Paris, soldiers sent to arrest him instead joined him. The emperor had returned. This period became known as the 100 Days, but Europe would not allow a second empire. On June 18, 1815, Napoleon faced British forces led by Otto Wellesley near the village of Battle of Waterloo. The battle was fierce. Mud slowed movement. Timing failed him. When Prussian reinforcements arrived, Napoleon's fate was sealed. He was defeated. This time, there would be no return. Final exile. Napoleon was sent far away to the remote island of Saint Helena in the South Atlantic Ocean. Isolated, guarded, forgotten by many. There, the man who once ruled Europe spent his final years reflecting on his life. He dictated memoirs, shaping his legacy. In 1821, at age 51, Napoleon Bonaparte died. Some say of stomach cancer, others whispered of poisoning. But by then, it no longer mattered. His story had already entered history. Legacy. Tyrant or genius? Was Napoleon a hero? He spread a revolutionary ideals, meritocracy, legal reform, secular governance. Or was he a dictator? He crowned himself emperor, waged endless wars, cost millions their lives. The truth lies somewhere in between. He was a product of revolution and his greatest contradiction. He proved that in a world ruled by birthright, a man of talent and ambition could rise to the top. But he also showed how absolute power can consume even the most brilliant mind. The shadow of a man. Today, statues of Napoleon stand in France. His military strategies are studied in academies worldwide.